can Donald Trump bomb a defiant Iran into submission over Hormuz? As of now, senior Iranian officials are upping the ante, sharpening their threats, with neither side backing down. And as the latest exchange of strikes between Iran and the United States continued into Monday, it's all boiling down to one strategic waterway. The tussle over controlling the Strait of Hormuz has only intensified. The United States and Iran are both doubling down. In fact, just a short while back, this is what US President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social. He's not mincing any words. I'm quoting from his statement. The Hormuz Strait is open and will remain open, with or without Iran. We are reinstating the Iranian blockade, so named because it is only stopping Iran's ships or customers from entering or leaving. All other countries will have fair and open use of the strait. The USA will be, from this point forward, known as the guardian of the Hormuz Strait, but as such and as a matter of fairness, will be reimbursed at the rate of 20% on all cargo shipped for any and all costs necessary to do the job of providing safety and security to this very volatile section of the world. The process and formation will begin immediately. That's what the US president has said just a short while back. Now, let's just lay out the context for you. What's happened on the ground? What's the background? A weekend of attacks stretching across the wider West Asia region, making the situation increasingly precarious. Here's what has already unfolded and what the two sides have said earlier. The latest exchange, remember, was sparked by an Iranian attack on a container ship on Sunday at the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, Iran says it has the right to manage traffic through the strait and potentially charge fees in accordance with the interim peace deal reached last month. The US disputes that strongly, citing international law on the freedom of navigation, and has tried to establish an alternative route as well outside of Iranian control so far. The Strait of Hormuz, remember, is a vital maritime corridor for global trade, is what the U.S. Central Command has said, also saying Iran does not control it, quote unquote. That's what they have said earlier as well. Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard sharply rejecting America's earlier statement as well, saying the Strait of Hormuz is our territory, saying that they will not allow an army from the other side of the world to continue what they call illegal interference in it. But then here's the thing. As long as the tussle over the Strait of Hormuz continues, the region gets pulled deeper into uncertainty. In fact, the U.S. military Central Command described its forces as hitting dozens of sites in those strikes on Monday, including air defense systems, radar sites, missile and drone equipment and small boats. Missile alert sirens sounded 3 times on Monday itself in Bahrain, which, remember, is home to the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet. And Kuwait said it was intercepting hostile fire in Jordan as well. The kingdom's military said it shot down 4 Iranian missiles in an incident that resulted in 0 casualties or material damage, quote unquote. Jordan, remember, also hosts the U.S. military forces and aircraft. In Iran, meanwhile, authorities reported attacks earlier in several parts, and at least 2 people were killed earlier, as per the state-run news agency. Meanwhile, a base belonging to the armed wing of an Iranian Kurdish opposition group based in Iraq's semi-autonomous northern Kurdistan region came under drone attack on Monday. Earlier, Iran media reported explosions of unknown origin heard in southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz, following an exchange of attacks between Tehran and Washington. And while those developments have continued to trickle in and the region remains on edge increasingly, remember, the fighting was focused on the status of the Strait of Hormuz. We just told you what the U.S. president has said in the latest as well. On Sunday, the U.S. military had said it hit some 140 targets, including missile and drone launch sites, ammunition dumps, communication equipment. Iran, meanwhile, retaliated by attacking nations in the region hosting U.S. military forces. So that's how things reached this point. It also insists that it alone must control the Strait of Hormuz and potentially charge vessels for traveling through it. And Sunday's attacks stretched to Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, and even Oman, which, remember, shares the Strait of Hormuz with Iran. Oman, which has long been an interlocutor in a way between Tehran and the West, also summoned an Iranian diplomat to criticize the attack. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, meanwhile, blaming Washington for the chaos gripping the entire region. What happens here onwards will not just dictate where things stand as far as the rising tensions are concerned, but also determine the fate of West Asia, and the entire world will be watching closely. Remember, Iran and the US are nearly halfway through that 60-day period in which they were supposed to negotiate a permanent end to the war and an agreement on Iran's disputed nuclear program. The Strait of Hormuz crisis and the tussle that we are witnessing has been a direct fallout of the war that started on the 28th of February with the US-Israel strikes on Iran. Iran has naturally used its most important bargaining chip, which is the crucial waterway. But then will Trump's strategy as of now work? Can he bomb Iran into submission? So far, it does not seem to work, and Iran continues to assert control over the strait, even as Trump has issued that statement. A series of attacks over the Strait of Hormuz, overall intensifying fears of a return to all-out war. The global economy cannot afford another round of uncertainty and disruption. But as of now, the clouds of uncertainty continue to hover over West Asia, escalating fears of further disruption to the global economy, with neither side showing signs of backing down from a cycle of attacks that is unraveling the ceasefire and pushing the region into deeper uncertainty. Let's now shift focus to the big story we are tracking from South India. First, let's lay out the context for you. Population explosion has been India's major concern since independence. As per the UN, it surpassed China as the world's most populous country 3 years ago. However, South India faces a different type of crisis with declining fertility rate and an aging population. The debate over South India's demography stirred yet again when the Tamil Nadu health minister called upon families to have more children. He basically stressed that it was imperative to encourage parenthood, as the state's total fertility rate had dropped to 1.3, well below the national average. In fact, the TVK leader also flagged that nearly 16% of Tamil Nadu's population was above the age of 60. The neighboring state of Andhra Pradesh, meanwhile, has gone one step further. As part of the government's endeavor to boost population growth, the chief minister announced a one-time incentive of 30,000 rupees for having a third child and 40,000 rupees for the fourth. A drop in population growth is a concern for Kerala as well. As per the state's Economics and Statistics Department, Kerala's crude birth rate, or CBR, that's the number of live births per 1,000 people, dropped into single digits for the first time. While its CBR was 17.67 in 1992, it plummeted to 9.64 in 2024. Falling birth rate has also pushed up the median age in the southern states. For example, Kerala has the highest median age for any state in India at 31 years. And that is well above the national average of 24 years. Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh are also not far behind, at 29 years and 27 years, respectively. Southern states are also accounting for a major chunk of the elderly. As per the latest National Family Health Survey, Kerala is aging faster than any other Indian state, with over 20% of its population aged 60 and above. Similarly, elderly population accounting for 16% of Tamil Nadu's population. In tune with the demographic reality, Kerala recently, remember, became the first state in India to have an exclusive ministry for welfare of senior citizens. That's not all. Earlier this year, Kerala also became the first state to present an elderly budget, earmarking over 46,000 crore rupees for senior citizens, which was about 19% of its budget size. Now, it's worth noting here also that the scenario was totally different in India over 5 decades ago. Let's take you back to 1971. Back then, the total fertility rate, which is the average number of children a woman is expected to have over her lifetime, was as high as 5.2 in the year 1971. But a big thrust on family planning has led to the TFR falling to 1.9 in 2024. And this, by the way, is lower than the 2.1 threshold, which will keep the population stable. However, the mass sterilization campaign during 1975 to 1977, when a national emergency was imposed by then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, became highly contentious. Over 1 crore sterilization procedures were performed in this period, with more than 1,700 deaths reported as well. Now, how exactly does a declining birth rate impact South India? An aging population basically implies that fewer younger people will enter the workforce, and this in turn will lead to labor shortages perhaps and declining productivity. More importantly, an increased burden on healthcare and pensions possibly could strain state finances, while a shrinking consumer base may also slow economic growth. Concerns have also been raised about how the political power of southern states would be further reduced if delimitation takes place on the basis of population. That is because southern states have outperformed the northern states in population control. While the total number of seats of each state in Lok Sabha and state assemblies were frozen in 1976, the delimitation bill, remember, introduced in the last session of the parliament, which could not be passed, sought to alter this. And during the discussion in the Lok Sabha, the Union Home Minister stated that seats of all states will be proportionally increased by 50%, thereby ensuring that no one loses out in the process. For example, he revealed that Tamil Nadu seat share will go up from the current 39 to 59. Karnataka, 42 seats. He assured the House that the existing 129 seats of southern states will increase to 195, and their share in total seats will remain almost the same at around 24%. But then with a state like Uttar Pradesh, for example, likely to see its seats go up from 80 to 120 if the limitation bill is passed in the future. The difference in absolute numbers is bound to increase. So South India is staring at a number of challenges. It has to manage its elderly as well as ensure that its demographic dividend grows. India have claimed a historic victory over England in the first ever women's test match at Lord's. The architects of that triumph, Yastika Bhatia and Kranti Kaur, who spearheaded India to that dominant 270-run victory. After 142 years of men's tests at the home of cricket, the women finally got an opportunity to play a red ball game at Lord's, and India etched its name into history books by winning the test match comprehensively. In fact, Kranti starred in the first innings with the ball. She ran through the English batting order. The Indian pacer ended up writing her name on the Lord's honour board with a 5-wicket haul. She ended the innings with figures of 5 for 37 as England were bowled out for 170. In the process, she became the third Indian fast bowler to take a 5-wicket haul in Test cricket. And she wasn't the only one who got her name on the iconic honours board. Yastika Bhatia was the star of the show with the bat in India's second innings. Promoted up the order, she scored her maiden test century that helped India post 341 for 7. And they set England a massive 457-run target. India then bundled England out for 186, winning the match comprehensively. Kranti finished the test with 7 wickets and was named the player of the match. The achievement was made even more special by the presence of the great Sachin Tendulkar. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.